their email list?
Yep, you set it up perfectly. You need a little bit of a lead magnet, which is just a little carrot that says, "Hey, join my mailing list, and in return, I'll give you something great." And all that is like something freebie that's easy to transmit over email. It could be like art, your soundtrack, all kinds of little things. Give away something that's good, that's transmittable digitally, that you can give once they sign up for your email list, and that goes so far. And the other thing that's very subtle is on your page. I know people hate it, but that little pop-up that says, "Hey, would you like my free soundtrack? Sign up for our mailing list." That pop-up is annoying. I am annoyed by it, but goddamn, if it doesn't work, that thing works. I don't know why. And we all hate it, but if it didn't work, people wouldn't do it.
It will still get you.
Yeah.
All right. And then, so backing up to what you were talking about before, you were talking about, how you can really captivate people are like more business focused potentially, like when, the email comes into their inbox. Have you noticed any trends in terms of the types of emails that are read or invite you user reaction versus like ones that are ignored? Like what are the top performing emails that go out that people click on and engage with?
It's always, "Hey, here's a free thing." Like it's
okay.
I know it sounds terrible, but like, and I do give them free things. Like I do an autoresponder sequence, which I hope your audience has learned. You're really good with emails. I do an autoresponder sequence, and my highest performing in my sequence is halfway through my sequence, where I give an extra bonus. Like I keep giving stuff to my audience, and halfway through the sequence, I give them free avatars for Steam, so they could turn their avatar into my characters. I also do little backdrop images for like their phones and stuff. And so I give those little giveaways halfway through, and I just have a subject line that says, "Hey, here's some free stuff." And then they can click it, and then they download all that stuff. So again, free stuff goes very well. Give little gifts to your audience. The other thing that goes really well is just talking about yourself. People want to know. Devs are like, it's amazing that what we do, being able to release a game, and people are curious about that. So if you say, "Here's the story of me and how I became a game designer, a game developer, this is how you make a game," people are very fascinated with that. So show a peek behind the curtain. Don't be this like stoic, "We are a studio, we're a big," so just be a dude or somebody who just like makes games, and be honest that, "Hey, I make them in my mom's basement." Like, be honest about that stuff. Then, and your audience will return in kind to you.
Yeah, and a good point to that too is simply that if people are already shown interest by signing up for your list, then you have it's almost like they're inviting you or asking for you to kind of ask more, stuff about you, about the game, and everything else. I mean, that you already have that like introduction, so there's no reason why you should feel hesitant to sharing more of that information. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then outside of you got your mailing list, you're engaging with them, whether it's an autoresponder or like a lead nurture campaign or whatever people use to describe getting, these series of emails that you're putting out. Outside of just catering to that devoted fan base, what do you think are some residual benefits?
Hey, I'm really sorry. Hey, I'm sorry. You're breaking up. I can't hear.
Oh, sorry. How about now?
Yep, I can hear you now.
Okay. We'll take it back a second. So, outside of catering to a devoted fan base, what are some of the residual benefits that email marketing can provide? So you're already engaging with this like core audience that you already have these other things set up, like an autoresponder and such. But like, what actions, if people are getting really involved with your email and engaging with it, what are some residual benefits that can come from come from that? Like, do they go out and share it with other people? Like, what other things can happen from your email list?
Yeah, you're really just getting a super core team of people when you engage through email, and really what they can do is they're like a multiplier effect for all your other marketing. For instance, I've really found a lot of success doing on Imgur, however it's pronounced.
Oh yeah, Imgur, yep.
Yeah, and a lot of the ways is I wrote a whole blog about how to get to the front page of Imgur, but one of the ways that you do it is you have to get a lot of early votes on your post, and that'll trip the algorithm on Imgur to say this is a quality post. So if you have a very engaged email audience, again, how I said, email is the most clicked way to do anything. If you send out an email that says, "Hey, I just wrote a really cool story about myself on Imgur, go check it out," that you just like have this supercharged unit of people that you just threw onto Imgur, and they're going to upvote your stuff. And same thing with reviews. Like I have very high review ratios on my games because part of my sequences are to say, "Hey, go review this game that you loved and you bought." And so there's a lot of just bonus marketing that you can do. And having a lot of reviews on Steam makes your game look more attractive than other ways. So you kind of get this second bonus. It isn't just about buying your game. It's also about sharing your marketing with other people.
Yeah. And I think what you're ultimately saying too here is that by going through this process, by getting people in this, consistent emails and through that process, you no longer just simply have like a fan base. You effectively can, they can help you out and they become brand advocates, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
Awesome. All right. So I want to slowly start to close our conversation. So I want to kind of like talk about lessons learned. So just kind of like a high level recap. What are some of the email marketing strategies that you can provide that ensure some retention?
Just use your email list. I mean, if you like a lot of people, they wait a long time before they email again. They think that they're disturbing the audience. I have my autoresponder sequence starts out for a whole week. It emails them every single day. And my retention rates are so high. They're like 50 to 60% open rates, really high, because at that first stage when they know about you, that's when they're most receptive to your message and they're going to remember you. Because I subscribe to any email list for any game dev that I encounter. So I am involved in a lot of email lists. I see a lot. I can't tell you how many people don't email until like 6 to 9 months later. And I have totally forgotten who this dev is. And they're just like, go buy our game. And I'm like, wait, who are you? So you have to be frequent, like at least once a month, and preferably like twice a month. Especially and then when you get close to launch or any big promotion, once a week at least, sometimes twice a week after your sale, like just before your sale ends, email, just do it, use it a lot and really be clear of who you are so that people will remember who you are.
Okay, cool. Now, what type of roles do you think, events like, PAX or GDC or anything else for that matter, play in developing and maintaining that following that we're talking about?
I don't know. This is totally me. Other people, I don't go to shows. I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I shouldn't even talk because I just don't know.
Okay.
But my hunch is just that, I don't know. If you're a very small dev and you don't have a game out and anything, I would skip shows. They're expensive.
Right.
They take development time. If you're in the early stages, I'd skip them.
Okay.
But that's just me. I have no backing data. I can't do it, but that's just my opinion.
Okay, cool. No, it makes complete sense, and thanks for your honest answer. And now, getting back into kind of a little quick high-level recap here on the Steam research you did. So you pretty much focused just on Steam. But do you think the arrival of Stadia and Epic Game Stores, we should see different behaviors associated with those platforms compared to what you found on Steam, or what do you think about those?
Yeah, absolutely. Steam is all based on buying the game. So there's a real, careful mentality of, I'm going to wishlist this game. I might consider it. And there's a consideration phase. You've got that funnel. But if you've got these like a Stadia where everything's, maybe not Stadia. I think Stadia you still have to pay.
Yeah.
Yep. If they are, I was thinking a streaming platform like Apple Store or one of the other ones. That's a totally different game because everything's included in your subscription. So there would be a totally different behavior.
Yep.
And of course, I'm sure, I haven't tested this, but I'm sure there's a very similar thing for stores where people are trying to figure out, there's just so many games and they don't have a lot of time. They've got to slot what game genre this is. So I have a feeling the same thing is going to happen on those stores, Epic and Stadia, where you have to be very clear of what type of game you've got. And so, yes, it might look a little different. The screenshots, the trailer might be different, the way they arrange things, but you still got to answer that fundamental question, what type of game this is.
Yep.
And not so much about your story. It's more about what genre you are. So I have a feeling that's very similar for both.
Okay, cool. And then, because I do understand they're completely different platforms in that way, but it still comes and boils down to genre. Cool. And then, do you have any fun research like this, planned forward? Because honestly, this is really eye-opening for me. I'm sure it was eye-opening for anybody else who commented on, your posts and everything like that. But what's the biggest thing you believe developers should watch out for going forward?
Yeah, so I am starting a new research plan. I'm doing it right now.
Sweet.
One of the things that a lot of people pointed out, and it's totally honest. There's a principle where it's like a watched object is going to be a little bit different. It's going to behave different when observed.
Right.
And
Yep.
that's true. And I control for that as best I can, but there is an aspect to it when you're watching somebody, they're going to behave a little bit different.
Yeah, of
And
course.
so I'm going to a second phase of this research. I'm still going to do a couple observations, especially during the winter sale for Steam, but where it's called a diary study. And you pick a couple people, a handful, maybe 5 to 10 people, and you just check in with them and have them diary, like maybe what games they're looking at, what they've recently bought. And basically every 2 weeks, I'm going to be sending a survey to a very select group of people and say, hey, this week, what did you buy? What did you buy this week? What have you looked at? What are you interested in? And then it's over months, and it's a longitudinal study. So over months and months, I'm going to see what the buying behaviors are. I'm not going to get that detailed, like what button did they click on or what image did they look at? But what I'm going to see is hopefully how people kind of matriculate through a funnel. Like I'm hoping, if the research is good, like I'll see somebody wish list a game that they just discovered, and through the months see how they've interacted with that game, and then eventually purchase it months down the line. That's kind of what I'm really trying to look for. So look for that. Just keep in touch, and I'll be releasing that research probably in March or April.
Oh, wow. That does sound really fun and exciting, and some awesome insight that I'm sure you'll find with that. All right, cool. So, in closing, we covered a lot, but if you could you list like 3 to 5 key points that you could offer to indie devs and marketers about the nature of these consumer behaviors and how can that ultimately influence marketing and other decisions?
Yeah, absolutely. I would first treat it as it's not a single thing that's going to happen. It's not like, oh, if only I got this one streamer to cover my game, then I would just be done. It's not. It's a whole. You've got to think in terms of not just a single game. It's not just a single streamer or a single thing happening. It is really a system that you have to build. You have to figure out how you're going to get people to the top of the funnel, how you're going to nurture them, how you're going to get in contact them, and you've got to constantly contact them. And you've got to constantly put your game on sale so that you're constantly in front of them during all these sales events. And you've got to constantly be telling them and reminding them about how you've updated your game. So it's really a long-term play. This is not just like, oh, how much did I sell the first week? Oh, am I going to stay in business or not? You've got to really play long-term across games, across months and years. So really think of the long term. Don't just make one game and quit. Okay. Please don't do that. I noticed I do a lot of research on how many devs release games. I see the majority of people release one game and then no more. So we really have to treat this longer than just this one game, this one launch.
Okay, cool. And what else in terms of like any other like tips that you would suggest?
Be very cognizant of your genre and know who you're. And I'm going to call them competitors, but they're really not, because if somebody buys one roguelike, like I said, I'm doing this Dead Cells research. I kind of informally talk to people on forums about what games they like, and they list out all their fellow roguelites. They're like, oh yeah, I really like Dead Cells, and I like Binding of Isaac, and I like that Noida. It's a new game I like. Be aware of your competitors, and I mean that lightly, is who else in your genre, and see what things they do and what words they use and what graphics they have and the way their UI works, because you want to make your game look like it's in that family. You can still be distinctive, but you've got to know what the tropes are of your genre. You have to know what the fans of the other games like, and make sure your game kind of supports that. Or even if you vary off something, be cognizant of, I am purposely varying from this genre in this regard, but these other things are very similar to the genre. So please don't try and, like with every game, think that you are the shining only variants of that. You really have to be cognizant of the other genre that you're playing in.
Okay, cool. And one last one. Let's make it an email marketing tip.
Just use your email marketing. Here's one. Use it, but set up an autoresponder.
Okay.
Just set it up. That is so beneficial. And I've never seen a game dev. I like I said, I sign up for every single newsletter. I think there's been one game dev that actually set up an autoresponder sequence. Wow. Watch my GDC talk, and I'll talk you through how to do an autoresponder sequence. But it really is amazing that people don't use that, because it is so fundamental and helpful in setting up your email list.
And that specifically is just you create like what you said, like with you, like, but let's say a series of emails that then go out automatically to anybody who signs up for your email list, correct?
Exactly. And it's just a warm-up sequence where you just walk them through who you are and what kind of games you make.
Okay, great. All right. So, Chris, this was super helpful and insightful, and I really think our listeners are going to get a lot of this. But just to